Good afternoon, my friends. We have some big stories to get through today that you guys can't be affording to miss out on. So stay locked in on BLueLionsTV. And right, I'm actually seeing myself right now. Oof, ow. I'm looking up to you guys. I'm looking like I've not been sleeping. Like Drew say, these last 2 nights I've been doing 3 a.m. nighters because I'm one of those guys where if I get that creative type of bug in me, like I'm locked in. So after seeing what I'm looking at today, might have to avoid that tonight. I don't know why I'm kind of doing this intro. I'm sure you guys don't even care right now, but I'm sure you guys are going to care about this though, and that's the fact that right now, nice little segue, Black Friday sales are about. And if you guys want to get something for yourself, or if you're thinking about your loved ones this Christmas, this might be the perfect time to get something. You're getting big discounts on the home shirts. Of course, the fashion merch ranges, memorabilia, all those items right here. So if you guys are seeing anything you like, if you want to investigate it for yourself, use my links in the card above or description below. And don't forget to use Nini10 at checkout. And all the related Blue Friday discount codes on offer as well too, my friends. I hope you guys enjoy the video. But right now, let's discuss the latest reports. We're going to start things off by talking about Sky Sports journalist and Caver. I can never get this guy's surname right, so I'm just going to call him Caver right now, or K. Man like K. That's what we're going to refer to him as. Did a nice little interesting Q&A session, just kind of sharing a bit more insight around what's happening at the football club right now. Obviously, one thing I've noticed, you guys, is that most people don't really watch us play games unless there's no other games on TV and if it's a big one. And I clocked this after our win against Paris Saint-Germain, where that was massive for us. But the wider footballing world just did not pay attention to it whatsoever. But against Barcelona, it really feels like everyone has started to pay attention, and naturally, talks are turning around. I'll be ready to now compete for the Premier League and the Champions League. Now, all of us probably know on our day, we can take on anyone. But can we do it consistently over a season? We're going to learn some lessons this season for sure though. As he says right here, because he has the insight from the guys at the club, nobody at the club is getting carried away after beating Barcelona. The title is not viewed as a realistic target for this season. It suits us that nobody has tipped them to win the Premier League or Champions League this season, and that's best for us, yeah, because we can just kind of continue to focus on a game-by-game basis. That's how you move in this situation, right? As it says right here though, this is where it's interesting. That gives them more time and space to build for the future. They don't want to be just Estival FC or Cole Palmer FC. They want to have a squad with 6 or 7 players as good as Estival and Palmer. Now, to be fair, you could probably add in Caicedo FC and Enzo FC, maybe Levi Cole FC. We got a few FCs about, but we have even more FCs brewing behind the scenes right now. And this is where things get really exciting for this club. Obviously, it's a similar story in Europe. We are building a squad to win the European Cup one day, but success this season would be ahead of schedule. But it's not the first time we've done a few things ahead of schedule, right? They see themselves as 1 out of 10 elite teams who could potentially win the competition, because anything can happen in knockout football. And let's keep things real. Of course, PSG lost how many games in the group stage and still went on to win the tournament, playing some of the best football I've seen, probably since Barcelona, to keep things real with you. And what did we do to these guys in the summer? We absolutely cooked and peppered these guys. So I was saying before the season even started, I just feel like, I just have this feeling that we might be going a bit far in the Champions League campaign this season. What do you guys feel about that? Let me know in the comment section right now, boys. But obviously, are the owners' expectations this season being raised by recent results? It's the same old story. Of course, there's always ambitions here, but they're realistic. And let's be serious, these guys have a 5 to 10 year project in their minds at this football club, and they haven't really been forcing any pressure to ensure that things are sped up. And they know this when they're only signing guys under 23 years old, right? So, you know, I feel like these are probably the main interesting things to discuss. Outside of the last point, who are the next Estivals in the pipeline? We already kind of know that. There's two right now who both scored in the CL last night. That is Giovanni Kenda, who I'm so excited to see at this football club, yeah? Bro, Kenda and Esteval playing together in the same team is going to cause a lot of headaches in the league for the future, right? And obviously, we can't forget about Dastan Satpaev, who, again, this guy scored his first CL goal, 17 years old. Let's see what we do with him. He looks pretty exciting. And plus all the other emerging talents we have coming through as well. So, yeah, it's looking kind of promising, you guys. What are your thoughts on what Kay had to say on Sky Sports today? Share your thoughts and opinions. But right now, we got to discuss one of the big stories that has been emerging right now. And let's get straight into it, boys. And that news is, it seems like Operation Maignan has officially activated, and that's based on reports coming out from Belgian journalist and Sacha Tavolieri. He says we are accelerating efforts to sign him. Right now, we are actively now looking to free up a space for his arrival. That's a big claim. That's big talks, but naturally, it does make you think about the timing of things and the timing of the news that Jorgensen would be open to leaving us in January. Now, for the club rates him. And reports are saying that you're only selling Jorgensen if we're making a profit on him. So I think it's a good scheme to keep the value high. And clubs are going to buy players from us. Let's keep it real. We clearly have talent. And this model has clearly got some legs right now. But anyway, as we know, we have reopened these talks with Maignan. They didn't officially end. We already agreed the package with him in the summertime. But for the last month and a bit now, we've seen so many reports coming out from Italy suggesting that conversations are still happening. And I think the big fact is Maignan hasn't signed an extension. And if that was going to happen, it would have happened back in the summer, not now. Now, in the meantime, there are clubs who are paying attention to him. They're Serie A clubs, Inter Milan, Juve. But Maignan is determined that he won't be signing for any other Serie A club out of respect for AC Milan. So that leaves him in this final option, and that is to achieve his childhood dream of playing in the Premier League. And this is why he is really keen to sign for us. So we hold the biggest advantage when it comes to securing this deal right now. And naturally, we have to think about how could this work. And for me, it only means two things. Number one, Jorgensen gets sold or loaned out. And number two, it probably implies that Penders remains at Strasbourg for a following season, which is okay, because I feel like if you're Penders, you want to kind of leave Strasbourg after being crowned the goalkeeper of the year in Ligue 1. You have to kind of get those type of accolades if you want to come to the elite top 10, top 8 clubs type of level. And I think at his age, at 20 years old, it wouldn't be an insult. So let's see what happens in those areas. But at the same time, a part of me was also thinking I could have been okay with Robert Sanchez and Penders as our main two guys for next season, right? I don't think that would have been any issue. Sanchez, I think it's time for all of us now to see this guy in better light. I'm objective. I've been noticing this guy's rise since the beginning of the year. He's been consistent, man. And for me, he's got the best hands out of any keeper in this league. So that matters for something. Maignan has been doing this thing this season. Recently, he made the key decisive pen save against Inter Milan in the local derby, a game in which Christian Pulisic also scored the winner. And he's been really consistent and really strong for AC Milan. So is there a possibility that maybe come next season or in January, which I think is unlikely, that we are going to see Maignan and Robert Sanchez as our two goalkeepers? That is ridiculous depth. That's going to be a ridiculous battle as well too. Let's see what happens here, because it's looking like Maignan might be coming to Stamford Bridge. So you guys, how are you feeling about this report? Is it a bit too overkill, or is there something here to the story, you guys? Let me know in the comments right now. But right now, let's move discussions on to discussing another story, and we have to talk about the latest surrounding Murillo. And we keep getting reports suggesting that we are maintaining this long-term interest in the Nottingham Forest centre-back. Now, Murillo did sign a contract extension at Forest back in January taking his existing deal to 2029. Okay, but he's also a player, in my opinion, that is probably better than Nottingham Forest. Probably should be playing at a Champions League level. He really is that good. And reports are suggesting that it's Enzo Maresca who is really pushing to try and activate something and secure a deal for his services. So let's kind of watch the space. Let's see what happens here. The story does come from Football Insider. You know, they do have their little like claim to fames, and they do have their stories as well. So I'm not going to be too cynical and just like completely write things off and dismiss it. I'm going to put the article up on screen so you guys can see, because I like to source where these stories come from. I'm not just out here just like capping for fun and making things up on the spot. But obviously Murillo in January, that's the claim they're making. Not gonna lie, that sounds ambitious. Now this story comes from their sides by former United scout and Mick Brown. He's the one that's kind of just like elevated the story by saying that we're showing interest, but he also made statements that he feels like maybe Arsenal and Liverpool, you know, they might have a better chance of signing him. Now we made these points back in September. A lot of things have changed since. I don't think Arsenal need any more centre-backs. Liverpool realistically could be the best option for him because they probably need depth if Konate and Van Dijk bounce. But I think about ourselves and I think, is he a player that we necessarily need now? Now, I think the guy's a great defender, of course. You know, his tenaciousness, aggressiveness on the ball. He's like a big, stocky, difficult guy to get to. Proactive defender. Like a bit Kukurea-esque in terms of how tight he gets to his man. He can defend wide. He's got those qualities, and I think naturally it does kind of communicate that this guy can play as an inverted type of option in a team. Fair enough, but at the same time, are we not kind of stacked right now? We've got Levi Cole returning next year, cool. But we've got Badia, we've got Fofana, we've got Chalobah, Achimpong, Tosin, Hator. And for like most of these guys, I'm seeing real improvements in their game. Look how Fofana's come back. It's kind of surprised me. He was a bit rusty at the start, but it seems like he's far past that now, and that's helping us. I even think Chalobah has improved a lot too. I think him and Fofana are probably our main defensive duo at this point in time. We got Achimpong, who the club have massive hopes around. Hato as well. Is there really any space or need for him? And let's not forget the guys we have out on loan, on Anselmino, who every time he plays for Dortmund, the guy is cooking and he's performing. And then we also have Sarr on loan at Strasbourg. And then we still have like maybe interesting hopes around Ishe Samuel-Smith, who's currently on loan in the Champions League. For myself, you're only making a move for a Murillo if like one of the big boys is leaving us as a guarantee. Then maybe something makes sense. But even then, I feel like if there was a centre-back spot to open up, I'm really looking at Anselmino. I think this guy is pretty talented. Yeah, aerially, laterally, the ball playing. But what I like about this guy is his composure. Like under pressure, he's one of those guys that's just a step ahead. Yeah, I think this guy's a real talent. So I don't know, man. We're kind of setting ourselves up in a position where if you need a replacement in your team, we have like 2 or 3 guys available behind the scenes ready to snatch the spot. So how do you guys feel about this Murillo news? Is it overkill in your opinion? Let me know in the comments right now. But at this point, my friends, I want to discuss this really interesting story that has emerged. And it centers around an Arsenal player. So let's kind of unpack things and get straight into things, yeah? Now, we're getting some interesting reports surrounding Myles Skelly of Arsenal. I want to explain this one. I think the title on screen is kind of doing it already to kind of preface what the conversation is going to be about. But reports have been coming out suggesting that maybe behind the scenes, you know, we're looking to see if there's any possibilities to maybe disrupt Myles Skelly at Arsenal, to see if there's a possibility in the future, in the distant future, to maybe make a deal for this guy. Let's watch the space. Now, I first saw these reports actually from Cy Phillips. You know, he does have some good links at times. And, you know, he was reporting that Chelsea had essentially held conversations with his agent just to kind of like gauge responses, to see what's going on, to see what could happen. And the reason behind that, the method behind the madness. And you guys ignore my inbox on the left, just completely ignore why there's like 7,500 emails there. I don't use this account to keep it real. But anyway, the reason behind this is that we are looking at possible contingency plans for the future in case someone like a Cucurella was to ever leave us. Now, Cucurella has kind of maybe slyly hinted at the fact that as he gets older, he may want to go back to Spain, which makes sense for his family life, which, you know, they got to respect. And the fact that he probably has unfinished business at Barcelona, the academy that, of course, he once came from. So if that happens, clubs of this size, you're not going to just, you know, clubs like us who are serious, we're not going to be in any situation where we're kind of just like, not the word gaslit, but it's like hit by surprise, right? We're going to have plans for every possible situation. And if there is a future one day without Cucurella, well, your option to sign like world-class guys who can also invert and overlap, it's a limited pool, right? So you're looking at your Skellys, your Lewis Horst, your Hattos, a few of these guys, and naturally, we need to have 2 guys for every position. So maybe it does make sense to kind of just have a few initial conversations with the Myles Skelly to see what could open up in the future. Maybe in like 2, 3, 4 years, who knows, right? Because Cucurella has signed his extension, not for more years, but for more money. So let's watch the space. A fun little fact for you guys, if you didn't know, was that Myles Skelly and also Ethan Nwaneri, they also spent time at Cobham in their youth days. But the thing is, they're both like Arsenal diehard fans. You can see why they decided to sign for the academy. But, you know, it kind of continues this thing of like all the top guys you're seeing in this country, they all spent some time at Cobham. Like another fun fact for you is, how am I forgetting the Senegalese guy's name at Everton right now? That is actually really poor. That's so poor for me right now. I can see his face, but anyway, he also spent time in our academy setup as well too. So like, listen, if you got your kids going to Cobham at any point, it literally boosts your possibilities of having a top class flight career. So how do you guys feel about Myles Skelly as a possible future inverted option? I'm still going to bank on maybe let's see what like Denaire can do. Let's see what Ishe Samuel Smith can do as well. And hopefully Hatto, who I've got a lot of big prospects around. I think this guy is going to be world class. He's very young. It's his debut season. But don't be giving up on him because obviously he's got a better guy in front of him in Cucurella. So I thought that was a really interesting story. But right now, we're going to end things on the final story today. It involves another Brazilian wonderkid. And this time, this guy's being likened to a certain Alexander ISAK. Right now, my friends, we're going to end things by discussing Joao Bezzera. He's a 16-year-old striker, already at 16, 188 centimeters. My lord. Some guys are just blessed genetically. He plays for Brazilian club Internacional. He's a striker, and he has been kind of likened as like a classic type of striker that can hold the ball, win balls aerially as well too, but also has that dribbling ability to his game. And basically, when he was like 10 or 11 years old, he used to play a ton of futsal, which is only going to kind of level up your close control on your footwork, right? And when he was 11, that was around the time that he was kind of pushed out to play more as a striker. So, you know, he does have a lot of interesting type of qualities to his game. And around that time, when he was kind of just like emerging as an 11-year-old, he did sign for a really big, sports agency in Brazil. And a lot of times, kind of getting these connections and you're getting signed up this early, it kind of maybe elevates your rankings amongst your peers in the country around that time, right? So naturally, with all the scouts we have, I think it's one of the best things we have, you guys. We sign all these Brighton guys for a reason, to get the expert, like, scouting knowledge on everything happening in South America. We also sign scouts from South America. I feel like the plan is, which we might see in the next 5 years, we're able to sign a Brazilian club as part of our multi-network model. And then things are going to get even more crazy when we can get access to these guys when they're like 10-year-olds, 11-year-olds, whatever, and get them signed to the club that we own. I think that's the vision we're building right now. And this is why we're getting first dibs on a lot of talents that other clubs are just unable to get their hands on right now. But anyway, just to kind of like make sense to you guys, don't be thinking that this is a story where we're looking to sign them right now. We are only monitoring the under 17 striker. That's all we're doing. Now, he does have a release clause already of 60 euros. We know that release clauses mean absolutely nothing because no one's paying that type of money. He's only just turned 16 years old, which means that if you did get a deal for him, you got to wait another 2 years, as we all know. But we are only just really following and monitoring the striker. That's all we're doing, and that's all we need to do right now. Because if there's a possibility where we might need to make first dibs to get this guy bagged up and sealed, you know what I mean? That could be a possibility that does happen in the future. So yeah, I thought I would kind of put you guys onto the story. Sometimes I like to discuss these random stories so you guys can kind of have an idea of emerging talents, just to kind of boost your football Wikipedia encyclopedia knowledge. And yeah, after that long-winded sentence, I think that's everything I got to say right now, boys. So share your thoughts and opinions on today's stories, and I will catch you guys with more videos. Love.